right. I'm not sure if if people are aware of this, but apparently the premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, been has been under a lot of flack from that mainstream media recently because of comments he made about immigration. So I'm gonna pull up an article right now that will help explain it. So this is an article from CTV News. It says Ontario Premier Doug Ford refuses to apologize for comments about immigration. So it says Ontario Premier Doug Ford refused to apologize for comments he made about immigrants coming to the province to collect the dole, instead saying that he's pro-immigration. Speaking to reporters in Tecumseh, Ontario on Monday, Ford said there was a labor shortage in the province and urged people to come to Ontario to work. We're in such desperate need of people from around the world, he said. But then the premier specified that he only wanted hardworking people to come to Ontario. So, and they put hardworking in quotation marks as if, yeah, like they're trying to make it sound as if hardworking is like a bad thing, the mainstream media. So then it says, you come here like every other new Canadian, you work your tail off, Ford said. If you think you're coming to collect the dole and sit around, it's not going to happen. Go somewhere else. Collecting the dole is a term used in some countries to refer to receiving unemployment benefits. Shortly after the comments were made, some Ontario politicians spoke out and demanded Ford apologize for the divisive remarks. A premier is supposed to unite Ontarians, not wedge us further apart, Ontario Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca said on Twitter. As a son of immigrants, I know firsthand how people like my parents helped to build Ontario. Doug Ford should apologize for his callous comments. Ontario NDP leader Andrea Horwath said the comments echoed demeaning stereotypes associated with immigrants, while Ontario Green Party leader Mike Schreiner said that to suggest newcomers are not hard workers is inexcusable. While in question period on Tuesday, Ford was asked by the NDP to apologize for the discriminatory comments. He did not do so and instead used the opportunity to say he's pro-immigration. Then it says, I have been pro immigration from day one, he said. We are short 2,000, so 290,000 people. I was the only government who wrote letter after letter to the prime minister saying we need more people. All you have to do is come to a Ford Fest and you'll see the support from people around the world, he added. Earlier in the day, Ontario's health minister said that she did not think Ford had to apologize for the comments. I don't think it's necessary because what the premier was actually saying is that we need more immigrants in Ontario. We have lots of work. She said at a news conference, we know that when people come here, they do work hard. They provide for themselves and their families. They contribute largely to our communities, and we need more people in Ontario. That's what the premier was indicating yesterday. Elliott emphasized that the premier was not saying that immigrants are not hard workers, but rather his expectation is when people come here that they will work, and we know they are working. And then it says it was a very outdated and tired thing to say. Speaking after question period, Horwath said that Ford's response proves the premier has some pretty distasteful and inappropriate values and beliefs about immigrants. What he is doing is showing stereotypes of immigrants that create dislike, that create division, that create a situation where people assume that what the premier says is correct and that is not correct. Horwath told reporters. He can parse his words all he wants, but a premier that speaks with such ignorance about who it is that built our entire province. We are a province and country of immigrants. Del Duca, meanwhile, said that he wants to give Ford the benefit of the doubt, saying that at the very least, the language was poorly chosen. I think what I think what he said was incredibly hurtful to lots of Ontarians. I think at the very least it shows a very outdated notion of the value of immigration, he said. It was a very outdated and tired thing to say, so I hope he apologizes and we can move on. So yeah, that's the end of this article, and so like this article is talking about like what Doug Ford said in regards to immigration. So like he talks about how there's a labor shortage, and so yeah, in terms of like the so like when it comes to like the labor shortage and all that, it's like they're saying they want like more like workers to come, like more immigrants, but at the same time, they're also like preventing like businesses from actually like from like making revenue and all that with all these restrictions, and also like they're putting like they're making many Canadians like unemployed as a result of all these lockdowns and restrictions. And so like and also like now with the jab with those like jab with the jab passports and all that they're pushing, they're making like they're forcing a lot of Canadians to be unemployed, but at the same time they're saying like how they want like more like immigrants and all that because of labor shortages. So yeah, like I just find it very very like very contradictory, like as to what they're saying, and yeah, and also in regards to um in regards to the yeah like um collecting the dole. I mean, he's not. I mean, Doug Ford, he's not like entirely wrong on this part because like um because when it comes to immigration, because when it comes to like immigration and like integration and yeah, like when it comes to issues like immigration, Canada's not very like strict on immigration and I know like especially under like ever since Justin Trudeau first got into office in 2015, like he's been like he's been like increasing the number of like the number of like people who come to the country, like the number of like migrants or immigrants, whatever you want to call it. And so, and like also like Trudeau, he's making it like a lot more easier for people to like migrate to Canada as um as like they're not they're not like properly vetting like who comes into the country. So, and I know like before this whole COVID pandemic started, there was also that like there was also like like the illegal border crossing happening at Roxham Road in Quebec. So and like nothing was being done about that. So and I think like now with COVID, like I don't think they're still not doing anything to like stop like illegal migration from happening into Canada. So yeah, it's just um yeah, like the it's like the government's like on all like three levels basically they're going out of their way to make sure like to take away like regular Canadians like rights and freedoms away like I know like Trudeau is saying how I think like on at the end of October or like in November like how people like Canadians will need to be jabbed if they want to like travel anywhere. So, but but at the same time, he also wants to bring in like thousands of like migrants from third world countries. Like yeah, like he also wants to bring in like thousands of migrants from like third world countries who are most likely not even jabbed. So yeah, but and also yet at the same time, like he wants to ban like Canadians from traveling who haven't been jabbed. So yeah, it just shows like how there's like this how like with the government like all three levels of government in Canada like they're not interested in looking out for Canadians, but they seem more interested in like other countries or yeah like other the interests of like other nations. So yeah, and also like when it comes to working um yeah and also yeah like in regards to Ford's comment about collecting the dole yeah like there's like well now with COVID like pretty much almost they want like everyone to be on the dole because they're deliberately like shutting down the economy like the Canadian economies as like they want like everyone to be on universal basic income. So it'll be easier for like the government to like control people and also to make people more like obedient to like the government. So as a result of that, and also like even like before COVID, like I know with in regards to immigration, yeah, like especially like in places like Toronto, if you go outside like the downtown area, it's like it's very like it's very like very tribal, and as as like it's as like most of the areas outside like the downtown Toronto, it's like mostly like very low income like neighborhoods and all that, and so many people, and so like and many of the people who migrate to Canada, like they end up living in these low income neighborhoods where like most of the people are like on the dole, as you know Doug Ford says, or they're on like these on or they're on like these government like they're on like these government like handouts and all that. So yeah, like he's not entirely wrong about like that part, and and yeah, hardworking people. Yeah, like Canadians are like hardworking people. It's just the problem. The problem though is like there's no like incentive for like for like Canadians to work because like with the economy, like it's it's been like going down. Like it's been like struggling for quite a while. Like even before COVID, as like Canada already had like the highest unemployment rate in the G7. So and now with COVID, like there's been like lots of like a lot of businesses have shut down as a result of the lockdowns and restrictions. So and also now that the job like many workplaces are making the job mandatory, they're pretty much like just firing people en masse who haven't taken the job. So yeah, and they're and I guess they're hoping to like hire people who have been jabbed or who will sign away their rights to take the jab. So yeah, and also like even before COVID, like the Canadian economy was already struggling like even before 2020. So because of like all the government regulations and red tape that prevents that prevents investors or that prevents people from investing in Canada, so they end up like going to other places like the United States because there's less like regulations and red tape. So yeah, and also another problem with the workplace or like working in Canada is that um, a lot of a lot of businesses like they prefer to hire like foreign workers because um because with foreign workers they it's cheap labor, meaning they don't meaning like businesses they don't have to pay them as much money as they would like a domestic worker. And also like foreign workers they don't have as much rights as compared to compared to like domestic workers or Canadian workers. So meaning that like employers they can like easily like take advantage of like foreign workers because they don't have as much like protection or laws. Yeah, like they like foreign workers they don't have as much laws that protect them from like being like mistreated or from being taken advantage of in workplaces. So like that's the reason why like a lot of like businesses they would prefer to hire like foreign workers. So yeah, and it's also why like many like Canadians are like unemployed. So yeah, and so yeah, and yeah, like when it comes to employment, like that's been like a serious problem in Canada. As like there's like no incentive. There's no like incentive to work in Canada, especially like if you're born and raised in the country, because like many workplaces they prefer like foreign workers, and also the fact that that on both the federal and provincial level, they're running like on they're like in debt, so they're like running on deficits. So I think like the deficit is around like $1 billion. So like they're having to so the government on like both provincial and federal level, they're like spending money that they don't have, and they're like yeah, so they're spending money that they don't have because they're in debt. So and as a result, they're like devaluing the currency. So like as a result, they're making everything. As a result, like everything is becoming unaffordable. So yeah, and also and that's also why like the housing market has become unaffordable in Canada for like for like regular Canadian, for like the average Canadian, because there's also like foreign influence happening in the real estate market and all that. So and also like with all this like debt, with all the debt like the government has like accumulated, many Canadians like especially like yeah, like many Canadians, they aren't going to be able to even own a to even own a home. And so and yeah, and also like many people like they're having like trouble paying their bills and all that because the prices have risen. So like things like groceries and like gas prices, they've like risen up as well. So that's as a result of like government inflation, because government, they're just printing more and more money. Like as a result of that, they're like devaluing the currency, which takes away the spending power of like the average person. And so like they're basically like stealing. Yeah, it's like they're stealing money from people without like having to go into your wallet, as as they're stealing it by devaluing like the currency. So yeah, like it's also like it's also like caused the economy to suffer as well, because there's no like real growth happening, and instead like the government, they're relying on like their spending. Yes, like the government, they're relying on basically just spending money that they don't have, that they're borrowing like from the future to like make the economy grow. And they're also like yeah, they're also in support of like more my of like more of bringing in like more like immigrants and all that, to like because they think that it will help the economy grow if they bring in like more migrants, instead of like allowing businesses to like operate without restrictions and all that. So yeah, they think that by increasing like immigration and just spending like money that they don't have, the government thinks that like they're helping the economy to grow, but in reality they're causing the economy to like suffer. And so yeah, and in regards to immigration, um yeah, like I know under Trudeau, the government, they've been like increasing like number of they've been increasing. So yeah, like especially under Trudeau, like they've been trying to increase the number of like migrants that come into Canada like every year. Like even with COVID, they're still trying to increase the number of like migrants that come here. And so yeah, and they're not like properly vetting like who's coming into the country. So because most of these migrants, they come from like these third world countries where they have like different value systems and like different like yeah, so like different like value systems and different like cultural norms and all that. So like yeah, so like the government, they're not really like they're not really like they're not like really vetting like who's coming into the country and all that. So yeah, and like even now with like and even now like with unemployment rate with the unemployment rate like high in Canada, like they're still trying to bring in like more migrants, which like like I think to the government, like the government thinks like that'll probably help the economy, but in reality like it won't help. So yeah, and and also like with and also like if the government isn't like careful about like who they bring in, like about the migrants they bring into the country, we're gonna like end up like Europe, where like in 2015, they brought in like where they brought in like thousands of migrants from like places like Africa and the Middle East and Asia, and like all that's and like what has happened since then is like there's like there's like problems with integration, all that, and like now Europe, they have like a lot of like these no-go zones now like as a result of like mass migration, all that. So yeah, yeah, and I think like the governments in Canada, they want to like bring in like more migrants as well, like not realizing how it's gonna be like Canadian taxpayers that'll have to pay for them, and also like they don't seem very interested in like whether like migrants will like fully integrate into Canada, or whether like they embrace like Canadian and Western values and all that. So yeah, that's another thing to be concerned about with all this like with immigration. So yeah, so I can close that now. So yeah, like in regards to immigration, the government, they're not really like they're not vetting like who's coming into the country, and also yeah, and also because Canada's like a very generous country, a lot of like migrants, they take advantage of that. And yeah, like a lot of migrants, they'll take advantage of that, and they'll just live off of like government handouts instead of like properly like integrating into Canadian society, and like actually like working and all that. So yeah, that's like another problem we have in Canada is that we're too generous. And I know like we have a lot of like these social programs and all that, like welfare programs that a lot of migrants take advantage of. So yeah, that's another thing to be concerned about. So so yeah, that's everything I wanted to like talk about. So and I'll be signing off. I'll be signing off now.